Alright, hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Jessie, and today I'm doing a themed reading vlog where I will be reading 3 romance books that also have a reality TV show setting. I was inspired to do this vlog after reading The Charm Offensive, and I just so happened to be scrolling through Barnes & Noble, and I found one of the books for this vlog on the buy one get one half price menu, and I was just like, you know what, this book's gotta be in a vlog. And then I realized it, and Charm Offensive had the same setting or the same type of reality TV show setting. And I was like, it's happening, I just gotta find 2 more books. Before I introduce the books for this vlog, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to my channel to make finding my content just a little bit easier. The first book I plan to read for this video is One to Watch by Kate Stayman London. This book I think has a more bachelorette style setting, and so I'm really interested to see how that goes. The next book I plan to read will be The Love Con by Cerestia Glass, and this book has a Project Runway style show setting, and so I'm interested to see how that one goes. Lastly, I'll be reading If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy, which also has a bachelor style setting similar to One to Watch, except the main character in this book will be one of the contestants rather than the bachelorette. I don't really have anything else to say in this introduction other than, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I guess let's get started with One to Watch. Alright, hey, so I normally don't update this early into my books because I'm only about 16% of the way through the audiobook for Main Squeeze, but I have a few things I wanted to say. So first off, when the book starts, it starts with a Paris trip that Bea took during a semester abroad whenever she was in college, and from that point on, it's like a life-changing scene where she starts becoming interested in fashion, and then I think the next chapter is like 8 years later, where she's a successful fashion blogger. I don't think she actually has like a traditional job. She is able to make a, I guess, livable income from her fashion blog, which is great, and that's awesome. And she's also had this crush like on one of her guy best friends for years, and in my opinion, he's trash, and she ends up getting her heart broken. And then she and her best friend, or another best friend, are watching Main Squeeze one night, and they share their complaints about the show online, and Bea shares it in one of her blog posts. That kind of prompts a lot of changes in how Main Squeeze is ran, and the new producer, I don't know if it's producer, but someone along that lines, asked Bea to be part of the show to be the next Main Squeeze. And from what I can tell, Main Squeeze seems to be like a Bachelor style show. I know kind of a little bit about The Bachelor, but I've never really been into it. I remember whenever it came out when I was a kid, my mom and dad watched it every week. They would sit together, they would argue over their favorites, and they'd watch it every week, and they made sure they didn't miss it. The new producer, I guess, wants to put more diversity into the show, and so part of that is casting Bea, who is a fat woman, and Bea's like, hey, I also want to make sure that, I want the men to be diverse as well. And so looking at that, that's all good, but I think the thing that's kind of bothering me is, first, this format doesn't seem to work as well as in an audiobook. I feel like I would have a better reading experience with either the physical book or the ebook. I think that's because it's kind of a mixed media format in some ways. I wouldn't say it's like super mixed media like some books are, but it has the regular chapters, and then it has social media posts and blog posts and comments and stuff, and news articles and comments on the news articles. And there's so many things that make it a little bit more difficult to keep up with audiobook wise, but I don't have access to it any other way at the moment. But then also, I think I remember hearing about this, so this is also my own fault, but there's a ton of fat phobia in this book, and it's making me uncomfortable. And I know that's supposed to. I'm sure that's the idea of including is to make people uncomfortable, realize like you don't talk to people like this. Why would you talk to people like this? But at the same time, it's definitely really uncomfortable, especially reading about, online trolls threatening to rape Bea because she's fat and stuff. That was really uncomfortable. I'm not a fan of that. I'm kind of getting worried because as I started reading this book, I kind of remembered reviews I heard around the time it came out, and I'm afraid it's not going to be as happy as I want it to be. I'm afraid it's going to be more of a contemporary with romance in it than a romantic contemporary book, if that makes sense. I'm not quite sure how I'm feeling about it yet. But like I said, I'm only 16% of the way in. I mainly just hopped on to kind of complain about the fat shaming and body shaming parts of the book. And I know why they're there. It makes sense why they're there. It's just, it's very jarring to hear, to just be listening to the book and to be hearing commenters threatening to rape her, commenters talking about how she's gonna die so soon. And it's, like I said, just very jarring to listen to. And so I do think that my experience might be better already if I were reading the physical or ebook. But once again, it's not available in my library, it's not available on Scribd, the bookstore is like an hour away, and I really don't want to make that drive, and I'm too impatient to wait on shipping. So it's all like self-imposed issues. I just finished the pre-production chapter, so by the time I update next, it will be into the episodes and with B meeting the guys and stuff. And apparently the guys don't know who B is yet. They haven't been introduced, and I'm afraid that's going to turn to an issue if some of these guys are the, I guess, traditional people you might think of who would go on to a show like The Bachelor. Are they going to be very self-absorbed and very focused on how people look, you know, stuff like that? Which, once again, I say that as someone who doesn't really watch The Bachelor, so, you know, my idea of like what kind of character might be on the show might be a little skewed. You may be able to hear and or see my coffee brewing in the background. Chris and I recently upgraded our coffee maker to one of the Ninja ones that has a little dial with multiple options, and I have been drinking exclusively iced coffee for the past week, and it's been great. But I didn't hop on here to tell you about my coffee maker. I actually got on here to tell you that I am now officially a third of the way through One to Watch. The book has picked up a little bit for me, but I will say that fat phobia is still uncomfortable. But once again, I think I understand why it's uncomfortable. The last 2 chapters that I've read since I updated last was episode 1 and then episode 2. So episode 1, also known as like whatever chapter, I think that'd be chapter 3 maybe. That was the introduction of B to all of her new potential lovers. And while the show did a good job at meeting one part of her diversity requirements, the men on the show this season apparently are several different races, and they're not all mostly white men with a few tokens here and there. From B's perspective, it seems to be mostly like fairly diverse racially, but the show did a very poor job of getting it diverse with bodies. Most of the men, besides one, all look like they could be, according to B, like models or stuff like that. They're just very nice looking guys. Whenever she confronted the producer Lauren about it, Lauren said, well, we're trying to sell a fantasy, so we have to see all these guys fawning over you. Episode 1 though, a lot of stuff happened. It was very uncomfortable. You can tell some of the men for sure thought this was going to be a normal season with the typical bachelorette on the show. A lot of the men definitely seemed surprised. Some men took it better than others. Episode 2 was like a group date where B and a certain amount of the men from the first episode who didn't get sent home had to go on a date on a yacht together. There was this issue with the swimsuit because Lauren's like, hey, you gotta wear your swimsuit, we're on a yacht, there's a hot tub, this will be fun, you know, right? And B's like, no, I don't want to wear a swimsuit, I'm gonna get made fun of. And at first I was like, well, you signed up for this. But then, you know, B explained it in her reason. It's like, okay, duh, that makes sense. Whenever B, you know, posts pictures of herself in a swimsuit, it's something that she's doing for herself because she's wanting to, and she's made the decision and come to terms herself with whatever feedback she's going to get. Whereas in this particular case, she's being told what to do. Lauren, the producer, kind of reminds her, you know, well, don't you want people to see you in a swimsuit so people can see themselves? And Lauren is very manipulative so far, in my opinion. And I'm sure that's part of, you know, why she's moved up to the spot she has as a producer, because of all the changes the show has gone through recently. But it's interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about Lauren at all. Like, I really don't think I like her, but part of me hopes she makes a comeback, although I don't know that she will. I am interested in B and her story. The main point definitely seems to be, you know, B on this Bachelor type show, coming to terms, I guess, with her own body positivity. I don't know if that's even the right words, but, you know, her trying to put herself out there and make more out of her life. Even I don't know if I'm explaining this right. But basically, romance definitely does not seem to be playing a big part in the book, in the sense that it doesn't read like a romance, which is fine. I should have double checked all that better because, you know, like I said in my last clip, I think I realized after I started reading it, I remembered complaints that people had made last year similarly to how it's not really a romance. So far, I don't think that's like damaging my experience with the book. Anyways though, I will continue reading, probably not right now. I have a Zoom meeting this evening for one of my classes, so I need to get ready for that. We're doing a discussion over Zoom over some readings that we did, and we have to video the discussion and send it to our professor. So I need to prepare for that because I don't want to be underprepared. I've also had trouble today just getting homework done in general. It's still January at this point in time of me doing this part of the video, and I've just kind of had trouble getting back into the swing of school. And today's Wednesday, and it's officially a week back. But I've had a lot more trouble getting into this semester than I did last semester. And so I'm trying to take today to really, you know, just focus on schoolwork. But I did have some driving time this morning, and so I listened to the audiobook of One to Watch. But I will probably catch up with you once I am done. All right, hey, this is the next day. I'm very sorry if I sound bad. I think I'm getting a sore throat. Or like my throat doesn't really hurt. but I have a cough and I sound like this. But anyways, I am about 2/3 of the way through One to Watch now. It is picking up and I am liking it a little bit better, but I will say, as far as this being a romance goes, I don't think this is my favorite type of romance to read. I do think I prefer romances where you go into the book already knowing who the hero is. I think I like that predictability. Since I last updated you, there's been some progress. B has made the decision to kind of take the show more seriously, and instead of only using it to further her career, she's now trying a little bit harder to maybe find a genuine and authentic relationship with somebody. And she is slowly but surely showing signs that she is getting over the guy from the beginning of the book. I definitely don't like him, and looking back at that part of the book, I am a little bit upset with B's decisions. She's made more progress. She's gotten rid of some guys from the show who shouldn't have been there. At the end of, I think it was episode 4 maybe, whenever she kicks off this one guy, the guy who, as far as she and some viewers are concerned, looks the most like the guy she would end up with. He is a huge jerk whenever she makes him get off the show, or whenever she doesn't vote to keep him. He's just really nasty about it and everything. And it makes me wonder, are the rest of the guys who are still there good, or are they all going to end up like that too? And at the end of this book, will she end up with an actual partner? I think it's interesting reading this book as if she's actually a Bachelor character on a real show, and watching, trying to decide which guy she gets with. Like, I know who I would like for her to end the book with, but I don't know that it makes sense. I almost don't know that it makes sense for her to end up with anyone. I almost feel like her character will have more growth if she ends up alone, or like single, not necessarily alone, but single, but then it wouldn't be a romance. But also, this isn't like most romances I typically read anyway, so what do I really know to expect from this? But overall, I'm having a better time as I get further into the book. It's been interesting and fun, kind of seeing, B, she is very body positive and comfortable in her body, but she still experiences insecurities. And it's been interesting trying to watch her navigate those insecurities while she is also on a TV show, which is something she willingly signed up for. But she still has to find that balance of, yes, she did agree to do this, but did she agree to every single individual situation she's been put in? Which is really a no. And then there was this thing with this one character, Asher. He hurt her feelings, like in the 2nd episode. And then his apology, the way he apologized, I liked it because he was trying to show he was genuine and that it couldn't be used for the show. I appreciated that. Basically, I don't really know what to say about this book at the moment, other than I mostly like it. But there are some issues I'm having with it. But those issues really might just be nitpicks, because this isn't the kind of a romance I typically read. Because I typically read romances where I go into it knowing who the hero and heroine are. So I'm interested to see where this goes and where the ending will take us. But I probably will not do any more updates until I finish this book. Alright, hey, it has been quite a while since I last updated this particular vlog. I think it's actually been close to a month since I finished One to Watch. And it's the 14th of February now, it's Valentine's Day, and I'm finally back with a reading update. I did start the LoveCon last week. I started it on the 9th, or maybe the 8th, whenever we went out of town for one of everyone's doctor's appointments. And I finally just now got to the 1/3 mark. Before I tell you though kind of what the book is about, what has happened up until this point, and why it's taking me so long to read it, I want to talk about the cover. I actually think this cover is really pretty. This was an impulse buy based solely on the cover. I liked the pinks. I liked seeing the main character in cosplay, and then who I assume is the love interest helping as well. And also, if you kind of look at this cover compared to One to Watch, it has similar elements, like the microphones and everything around the edges. The LoveCon follows two best friends, Kenya and Cameron, or Cam. And Kenya is on this cosplay reality show contest. She's made to the final rounds, and she needs a fake boyfriend essentially in order to kind of help her with this final round. And she kind of announces her best friend Cam as her boyfriend. And so she goes home and she has to kind of get him to play along and fool everyone, their friends and family and the production crew who will be following her around while she finishes this last part of the show. And that's kind of the main things I knew about the book before going into it. I'm now about a third of the way through it, and I'll say that it's kind of not my favorite so far. There's still definitely plenty of time for this book to pick up and be really good, but at this point in time, I'm not loving it and I'm kind of struggling to read it. Something about the writing feels very cheesy. I think the pacing might be an issue as well, because I do enjoy a good fast-paced book, but this one feels like it's just extra fast-paced. For some reason, I assumed the book would start near the beginning of the cosplay reality TV show contest, but like it pops in on like near the last episodes of the show, like where they are counting down to the final 2 contestants who will go home and have 4 weeks to complete their couple's costume at home. And that also creates kind of another issue, because that means the pacing of the show, which I know this is about the book, not necessarily the show, but the pacing of the show sounds weird because it sounds like, you know, each episode aired somewhat live the week it played. And that means that there's going to be about 4 weeks between where Kenya became one of the finalists and between the end of the show. So that felt weird to me. And then the final thing I'm not really enjoying so far is Cam. He seems very, I don't mind pining, but he seems like he got friend zoned at one point and he just has never given up the opportunity to be with Kenya. And I don't know if there's like what's going on, because I feel like there's definitely a miscommunication between Kenya and Cam. And that's like translating to the writing to where I don't know if there was a genuine miscommunication or if Cam genuinely got friend zoned. I don't know what's happening, but either way, just the way Cam's reading off, it seems like he's very desperate to be with Kenya, and not in a fun romantic way. So far I really enjoyed Kenya's character for the most part. The book is told in third-person point of view, and Kenya has like her third-person POV, and then Cam has his third-person POV. But in Kenya's third-person POV, I feel like the only real difference between their points of view, like the easiest way to tell the difference if you don't catch the character's name at the beginning, is that Kenya's point of view has her thoughts in italics, like she's talking to herself in her head. And I'm not sure how I like the way it's reading, but it's okay. So far, I really enjoy how much Kenya wants her dream of making cosplay as a career work. I really enjoy like seeing her try to figure out how she's going to make her career happen. I'm interested to see the deal with her parents that she makes. What's going to happen with that deal, because Cam doesn't know about that deal at this point in time, and I'm wondering how that's going to affect Cam, because Cam also has a really close relationship to Kenya's parents for his own reasons, and that just feels like it's going to end up in a mess and a lot of betrayal. And also I feel like there's just gonna be this huge miscommunication trope, and I guess it's gonna follow the whole book. I'm not sure yet, but anyways, I guess that's really it for now. This is not off to a great start, but I am still hopeful that it will pick up and I will enjoy it. I normally update my reading progress at the 1/3, 2/3, and completed marks of these books, but I struggled so much with even making it to the 1/3 mark. And then by the time I made to the 2/3 mark, I was afraid that, you know, if I put the book down, it would take me another several days to finish it. And so I just went ahead and powered through, and that is unfortunately why this book is only getting 2 updates instead of 3. During the first third, I had a big complaint about Cam kind of coming off as desperate, and while by the end of the book I wouldn't say he's a favorite by any means, I do appreciate how much he was there for Kenya and how supportive he was of Kenya and her dreams and making them work, and how willing he was to make them work. But just still something about the way he pined after her, because I don't think I mind pining, but I'm not sure that I've read many books with pining. But I don't think I mind the idea of it. It's just, I don't even know if this is pining, by the way. So the way that Cam kind of, you know, waited for Kenya and was like kind of desperate for Kenya for all these years just kind of felt a little desperate and uncomfortable to me, and that just might be a me issue, because there may not be nothing wrong with it. It may, once again, like I said, be a me issue. But it did kind of affect my enjoyment of the book, the fact that I didn't like, you know, one of the POV characters and the love interest and all that. As the book went on, I really enjoyed Kenya more and more. I enjoyed seeing her creativity and her passion for cosplay. I enjoyed seeing how much of a support system Cam was for her, but I also enjoyed seeing how much of a support system her other friend Janelle was. And actually, if I could have another book that I got to pick from this author, I would like to see Janelle's story with the guy she was talking about in that book. Like, I don't know if it'd be a prequel or what, but that was interesting. That caught my attention. That discussion about Janelle's boyfriend was actually more interesting to me than some of this book. One thing I wasn't really a fan of was the fact that Kenya's parents were so supportive of Cam and his dreams, but not necessarily the same for Kenya's. Kenya and Cam both kind of want to be entrepreneurs in their own way. Cam has his own shop. Kenya wants to have her own cosplay business. So why is it that her parents are so much more supportive of her best friend than of her? And I guess like in the end it kind of works out. You know, they have a talk with Kenya's parents and decisions are made. But for the most part, that kind of irked. Overall, I would say that I did enjoy the book, but it's not a favorite and I didn't love it. And it ended up being a 3.5-star read. Between not really enjoying Cam and his point of view, and then just with how much I struggled to get into the book and stay into the book, that really dragged the rating down. But then the rating was helped a little bit by the fact that I did enjoy Kenya, and I liked the idea of the story, but I think I liked the idea of this book more than this actual book. It wasn't a bad book by any means, but it wasn't a favorite. I didn't really love it as much as I wanted to. I really wanted to have a great time with it. The first 2 books I've read for this vlog have both been 3.5-star reads, which while not great, they're not bad either, but I am really hoping that I will still have a chance at a really good, really exciting book that I love by the end of this. And so the next book I'll be reading is If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy. If the Shoe Fits is kind of a Cinderella retelling, but with a reality TV show element to make it fit into this particular vlog. It follows Cindy. She's recently graduated from college. She's moved back home to kind of help take care of her half-siblings, and somehow she ends up thrust into a role on this reality TV show. And then on this particular show, which is called Before Midnight, which I'm sure is like a play on the Cinderella story, she ends up being the first plus-size character on the show, and so I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of issues that, you know, some viewers take with that. And so I'm interested to see where the story goes. I don't know that I've really read many Cinderella retellings. The only one I can think of is, I think the 3rd Bridgerton book is a Cinderella retelling, and I've DNF'd it twice. So I'm hoping I'll have better luck with this particular book. And then I think I've heard that the stepmother, isn't, evil in this particular book. So I'm interested to see where that goes, and I'm hoping it goes well. I'm honestly considering only doing an update at the halfway mark and then at the finished mark of this book, just to save on time. That's kind of it for now. I will update you whenever I get to the halfway mark, I believe, and then I'll let you know my thoughts at that point and how the book is going. I am officially halfway through with If the Shoe Fits, and so far I'm enjoying it. At this point, Cindy has come back from college. She was in a design school. She had a really rough senior year and kind of left without any prospects for any career in design. And so she goes back home to nanny her 3 half-siblings, who are essentially named after the mice, and I guess kind of almost play the mice character, I guess. In this particular book, her half-siblings' names are Mary, Jack, and Gus, like the 3 main mice, I guess, in the original Cinderella movie. One way or another, Cindy has ended up becoming a contestant on this Bachelor-style show called Before Midnight, where she is now the show's first ever fat contestant, and she is competing with I don't know how many other girls for the spot to, I guess, be hopefully engaged to this guy at the end of this season. Some things I've really liked about this book so far is that, first of all, I like that the step family are not evil. The stepmother is, I don't know if self-involved is quite the right word, but she's also very career-driven, but she's not evil to Cindy. She and Cindy have had disagreements in the past, and that's okay. That kind of comes from knowing someone and being in the same house as them for a long period of time. For example, the biggest issue Cindy has had is after the death of her dad, Cindy kind of had trouble with this one decision that her stepmother Erica made, but then as time has gone on, she has come to appreciate that particular decision. Cindy's stepsisters also are not evil. They are a little ditzy and also self-involved, but not in a bad way. They're not to the point where they're, purposefully harming Cindy. But Cindy's also discussed, there was a time in high school especially where, she and her stepsisters didn't necessarily get along because her stepsisters were older and they wanted to be popular, and Cindy was younger. But as they grew up and matured, they developed friendships. And so I've liked that part of the book so far. I like that, the step family and Cindy have had disagreements here and there, but they are also truly able to get along and actually seem to really truly love each other. So the stepsisters also ended up on the show because they were kind of in a somewhat similar position to Cindy. Cindy had to almost kind of fight her way to the position though. The show at first was a little bit worried about putting her on because she's fat, but then she convinces them to. And so far as Cindy knows from the little glimpse of the outside world she's gotten to see, is that viewers like her so far on the show. In the house, Cindy has faced some fat phobia from one particular character, the most, but she also seems to be developing a couple of real friendships with 2 of her 3 roommates. And so I'm hoping those will be genuine and nice and go on throughout the book, and that she will leave the show with those same friendships. But I know that they're all competing on a reality TV show, which can bring out the worst in people, especially because this particular show does seem to really push alcohol at people. I'm not completely disliking the prince figure yet, or the bachelor figure yet, Henry. I don't dislike him, but he's not a favorite yet. I'm not sold on him, but I am more sold on him than I was the love interest, or the official love interest in the first book, and than I was on Cam. But he's still, not up there with the favorites. And I think that's just because, in my mind, but he's dating all these other women along with Cindy, which is the point of the show, but at the same time, in my mind's he's not loyal to Cindy. but you know, he's also on a dating show, so they both have some things to work around. I have enjoyed Henry though in the private moments he and Sydney have managed to find together, whether those be genuinely private moments with no cameras involved or pseudo private moments where cameras are involved but other contestants are not. So like, I'm not sold on him, but I don't hate him at this point. So far I am enjoying this book a little more than the other two, but I'm not done with it, so it could go either way. And so far, I think the connection I've made about what I liked about each book is that I think I like the reality romance show part of this book and one to watch more so than the clothing design, cosplay design, reality show part of Kenya's book. But in this book, I think I like that Cindy is a contestant, and so I know exactly who she will end up with by the end of this. I'm not over here like looking and thinking, you know, well, which of these people is she going to pick, and like not getting to really see a full development of their relationship. And because I guess Cindy is the contestant and she's only dating this one guy, I can see more of him and her together versus, you know, be with like all these other guys at different times, if that kind of makes sense. Either way though, I will update you once I finish this book. Alright, hey, so it has been a while since I updated this particular vlog. I actually just did the intro because I never got around to doing it before I even started the last book in this vlog. And then I finished this book almost a week ago, and then I ended up getting sick and I just didn't have the energy to video. Overall, I actually really enjoyed the end of this book. I thought it was interesting that towards the end, Cindy almost kind of seems to forget she's on a reality TV show. And she kind of seems to forget, you know, that the people running the show may not let her win just because they want to create drama, they want to create hope for in the next season. And she is really just a pawn in this game, and she has to remember that so many people on the show didn't even show up for love anyways. So why does she think she'll actually get it? I like the way the end of this book was handled, and the way in the end Cindy ends up taking some time for herself. She ends up making some headway with her fashion career. In the end, there's a happily ever after, or happy for now, I guess, you know what's going on, because this is a romance. And so I just really like the way the end of this book has happened. I think I rated this book 4 stars. Overall, I would say this vlog was fairly successful. I definitely met the premise, but I didn't enjoy any of these books quite as much as I expected to. I'm a little bummed that none of these were 5-star reads, and that I didn't love any of them near the same as I loved The Charm Offensive, which was the whole book that inspired this particular reading vlog. So like I said, I'm a little bummed about that, but it'll be fine. I'm interested to try this again in the future, maybe with different books, or maybe just a whole different premise, or I don't know, just I like the way that that one particular book, The Charm Offensive, inspired this whole vlog, and so I'm hoping I'll hit more inspiration like that. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.